Hi, my name is Matthew Lott. I'm an attorney here at the Lott Law Firm, and I want to give you a short video about what it's like to have a workers' compensation case in the state of Mississippi. First of all, what is workers' compensation? If you're employed on a job and you get injured on that job, then you would be covered by workers' compensation insurance, most likely. There are a few exceptions to that, but generally speaking, that injury would be covered by workers' compensation insurance that your employer carries. And what happens is, if you're able to return to the job, then you would get paid your regular duties, but the employer may be liable for medical benefits. And again, if you're able to do your job, then you'll just go back to work as regular. But you would see the doctor of your own choice as needed. You get your doctor of your own choice. You don't have to go to the doctor that the insurance company provides. It's very important to know this. Your insurance company may send, the employer's insurance company may send you to a doctor of their own choosing. And so you get the option. The law says that you get the option to choose your doctor. Now, your employer may have the option of sending you to a doctor of their own choice as well, and you would have to go to those appointments. However, again, you get your doctor of your own choice, and you can continue to see that physician. If you cannot go back to work, then your employer has to pay you 2/3 of your average weekly wage. Your average weekly wage is basically your gross check. If you get paid by the hour and get a regular 40-hour work week, well, then you can take 2/3 of that check on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and times that times 66.66%, 2/3, and that would be what you were entitled to. If you get irregular pay, meaning you may work 60 hours one week or 90 hours the next week, then we average out what your pay is over the course of a year. And again, it's 2/3 of your average weekly wage. And the reason is very simple, is you're not paying taxes on that money, and deductions aren't coming out of that money either. So that's the way the law has set that up. And again, they're still liable. If you can't go to work and you need medical treatment, then they have to send you to the doctor of your own choice. Now, what happens during the process? 90% of all injuries in the state of Mississippi related to work, you don't really need an attorney. If you get injured on the job, you may start getting letters from certain attorneys who feed off the system. You don't have to respond to those letters, and you can seek your own counsel, okay? Now, that's very important that you make sure that the insurance company is treating you fairly. As long as you foresee the fact that you may be able to go back to work soon, then you really don't have anything to worry about. Now, there are certain procedures that you need to be on the lookout for. First of all, if the employer only provides you medical benefits and you get your regular wages, well, there's certain statute of limitations requirements that go into place, and they could deny your claim later on down the line if you don't file certain petitions. So you may want to talk to a lawyer about that. Secondly, at the end of your claim, there's certain statute of limitations periods, and you also may want to talk to a lawyer before you close out your claim. Now, what sort of medical treatment is allowed in the state of Mississippi? Reasonable and necessary and sort of standard medical treatment is required to be provided by the employer and the employer's insurance company. Now, we get into a lot of debates about what is standard and reasonable medical treatment. And that really depends on your doctor and maybe an independent medical provider. Sometimes the Workers' Compensation Commission, which governs all of the workers' compensation cases in the state of Mississippi, will send you to a doctor of their own choosing. Usually those doctors are in Jackson, Mississippi, and they like to use their own doctors, which is near the commission, and that's just kind of part of the process. So if it's a very invasive procedure that may cost a lot of money, or it may there may be some debate about whether it's actually required or not, then we may get into this situation where there's some question about whether it's really needed or not. But generally speaking, there's not any question about what medical procedures are required if it's a standard type injury. Now, what if you can't go back to work long term? What is the employer's obligation to you? The statutes in the state of Mississippi require that they pay for your wages for 450 weeks. That's the maximum that's required. They don't have, if you cannot go back to work for the rest of your life, then they only have to provide 450 weeks. That can be a lot less than what you're entitled to over the course of your work life. It's not a fair system, but it's set up by the state of Mississippi to provide at least some kind of compensation. Medical treatment. There is no limitation on medical treatment. If you need $1 million worth of medical treatment, then your employer and the insurance company has to provide it. Now, there may be, do you need a lawyer? Let's go through the process. One is, if there's a dispute about whether wages or medical benefits are provided, you need to get a lawyer. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of pitfalls that workers fall into, and you need to get somebody that's going to look after your well-being. And our job as a lawyer is to stay on task, keep the insurance company and the employer on task as far as providing your benefits and your medical treatment. The goal is always to get you back to work. Get you well, get the treatment that you need, and get you back on your feet and back to work. But so many workers can't really do that. And so our job is to either get you a settlement or take the case to a trial and have a judge decide on your case. The process is pretty straightforward. You continue to treat until you reach what's called maximum medical improvement. And that's just a term that we use in workers' compensation to describe where you've leveled off, okay? Where you've reached the best that you're going to get. It's not that you've fully recovered, it just means you have healed as much as you're going to heal, the doctor has done as much as the doctor can do, and you have leveled off in your treatment and your well-being. At the end of reaching maximum medical improvement, and it will be a date, okay? All maximum medical improvement is a specific point in time that says that you've leveled off in your treatment. At the end of that date, the doctor will also give you an impairment rating. That impairment rating and certain restrictions are assigned. It's a percentage. It will say that a certain percent of your body has been injured as a result of this incident at work, okay? Now, sometimes we get into causation issues. What does that mean? That simply means whether this is work-related or not. Even if you had pre-existing conditions, and whatever those things are, those may come into play. However, if you're injured at work and it's related to your on-the-job duties or your on-the-job work, and it's not related to something outside of work, then they must pay for your medical benefits and your wages. There's no question about that. It's not like a car accident where we have to prove that a certain driver was negligent. Negligence is completely out of the equation. It's just whether the injury happened on the job or not. Now, if you were horse playing around or joking around or doing something else besides working, well, there's certain exceptions for that. Also, if you were using drugs or alcohol on the job, then the employer and the insurance company are not entitled to give you benefits for that. So back to what happens at the end of your case. At the end of your case, if you're able to go back to work, then no further wages are required to be paid. You just go back to work and do what you were doing prior to your accident. If you continue to need medical benefits, well, then those will continue to be provided. If you want to shut down your case and you just want to settle out and go back to work, well, then you generally would need an attorney for that. We would work up some kind of mutually beneficial settlement agreement that would work out for both you and your employer. Okay? It's a pretty straightforward process. However, it can be very frustrating and tedious. It can go on for many months. It can go on for many years. And you really need an experienced lawyer to take a look at these sorts of things and make sure that you're protected. Thank you.